Welcome to Top 10 Archive. Come one, come all to the strangest show this side of the internet. We've got freaks, we've got sights to behold, we've got grotesque displays that are sure to turn heads and stomachs. We've got nightmarish creations that you don't want your kids to see. This installment is giving you a look at what awaits behind the curtain with the top 10 weirdest circus sideshows and freaks. It should be noted that these people aren't freaks in the true sense of the word, but rather they were born with abnormalities. These people should be treated as just that, people. Number 10, the human unicorn. You may not see Wang the human unicorn listed in any sideshow gallery, but that wasn't from a lack of people trying to enlist him. During the 1930s, a Russian banker stumbled across a unique Chinese farmer from Manchukuo, a man with a long horn sprouting from the back of his head. The Russian snapped a photo and shipped it off to Ripley's Believe It or Not. The odd show attraction was so intrigued by Wang that they offered a cash reward to anyone who could present the human unicorn for the auditorium. Though Wang sported a 14-inch horn that would be difficult to miss, he was never seen or heard from again. Wang's case was likely due to a condition known as cornucutaneum, which is known to cause growth of tumors. What makes the condition so unique today is rarity, thanks in part to modern medicine and treatments. Number 9, the last of the Aztecs. So the name may not be entirely true, as it's believed good old Schlitz Surtees was born in the Bronx. But the moniker certainly did work for the sideshow act. During the early 1900s, Schlitzie held a career in the sideshow circuit due to his pinhead look, which of course made him look like a freak of nature. Schlitzie was no freak though, but suffered from microcephaly, a neurodevelopment disorder that left him with a small skull and brain. On the road, Schlitzie's 3-year-old cognizance made him easy to manage, and such performances such as Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey, Clyde Beatty Circus, and the Tom Mack Circus made a killing off of the missing link. Schlitzie also played a small role in the 1932 horror film Freaks. Despite the disorder, Schlitzie survived 70 years, dying from bronchial pneumonia. Number 8. The man with two faces. Nowadays, when someone thinks of Two-Face, they're likely to remember that great Batman villain. But back in 1920, a real man with two faces came into the world. Upon his birth, Melvin was known to have issues, but no diagnosis was initially made. As Melvin aged, his face became deformed, creating what would look like two different faces. The deformity was due in part to neurofibromatosis, a disorder that can lead to the growth of fibrous tumors. Rather than sulk over what others would consider a misfortune, Melvin cashed in on his deformity and, in 1949, joined the Coney Island Sideshow to become the Man with Two Faces. Included in his performance career, Melvin joined the cast of Sisters and the Sentinel. Melvin lived a long and successful 75 years before passing away in November of 1995. Number 7. The Misnomered Bear Woman. We've all heard of the bearded lady, and these days are less likely to be shocked by the notion of a woman with facial hair, but come across the likes of Julia Pastrana, and you're likely to let out a gasp. Pastrana was born with hypertrichosis, which accounts for an abnormal amount of hair growth. But that was the least of the woman's problems. Pastrana also suffered from gingiva hyperplasia, which caused her lips and gums to be thicker than normal, and also had an irregular double set of teeth in her upper and lower jaw. The woman joined the sideshow circuit, taking on such names as the Misnomered Bear Woman, and was even once believed to have been the product of human and ape copulation. Post-mortem, Pastrana's legacy lived on as her body was embalmed and displayed in collections all across the globe. Number 6. The Mule-Faced Woman. Grace McDaniels was a woman like any other, save for one very distinct feature: her face. Serge Weber syndrome caused a birthmark on Grace's face to thicken and distort her skin, causing her face to become, as some would say, unbearable to look at over time. Serge Weber was degenerative, so as Grace got older, her face became more and more distorted, almost to the point where speaking was an impossibility. Though McDaniels joined the world of freaks and sideshows, she initially despised being considered the world's ugliest woman. At first, she would cover her ears to avoid hearing the introduction, but as time went on, she was able to accept herself for who she was, the world's very own Mule-Faced Woman. Number 5. The Elephant Man. Joseph Carey Merrick is likely one of the most famous men in the history of the world, but chances are you don't recognize his name one bit. That's because to most, he was known as the Elephant Man. Born in 1862 in Leicester, England, Merrick led a tough early life due to the deformities all over his body, including a bony mass on his forehead, enlarged hands and feet, and rough and patchy skin. When life wouldn't throw him a bone, Merrick contacted Sam Torr, a showman that Merrick thought could exhibit him, and exhibit him he did. Merrick started his career as a sideshow oddity in August of 1884, adopting the name the Elephant Man. To travel in public, Merrick wore a black coat, a brown cap, and a burlap sack to cover his face, to ensure the mystery of the Elephant Man remained behind the curtains of the show. 6 years after his career in show business began, Merrick passed away, allegedly from asphyxia or a dislocated neck. Number 4. The Camel Girl. From the Mule-Faced Woman to the Bear Woman, animals typically play a large role in naming sideshow attractions, so it was only a matter of time for a Camel Girl to make a debut. From the waist up, Ella Harper looked like a normal girl from Hendersonville, Tennessee. But one look at her legs would lead on that not everything was normal. Harper's knees were bent backwards due to an advanced form of congenital genu recurvatum. Around the age of 16, Harper joined W.H. Harris's nickel plate circus under the moniker the Camel Girl, as she walked on all fours. Harper's time in the sideshow business was short-lived, though, and she went on to live a rather normal life until her death in 1921, which was attributed to colon cancer. Number 3. General Tom Thumb. Born on January 4, 1838, Charles Sherwood Stratton suffered from a disorder that would stunt and stop his growth not long into his life. At the age of 5 years old, he was only 25 inches or 63 centimeters tall and weighed 15 pounds or 7 kilograms. As they say, we all have our lot in life, and famed showman Phineas T. Barnum was sure to have the perfect spot for Stratton. Barnum took quick advantage of the character Tom Thumb, throwing General in front of it to be a bit showier, and claimed the boy was 11 and was brought in from Europe. Though General Tom Thumb would grow in his teens, topping off at roughly 3.3 feet or 102 centimeters in height, and weighing in at 71 pounds or 32 kilograms, General Tom Thumb became a staple of P.T. Barnum's show, performing musical numbers and skits internationally for mobs of onlookers. Number 2. The Living Skeleton. Modern beauty standards may have a different view of the living skeleton, but back in the 1800s, Isaac W. Sprague was nothing more than a freak of nature. Isaac was a normal boy when his body started to randomly lose weight and, no matter what he ate or did, his weight continued to decrease. When it got to a point where he could no longer sustain enough energy to work, he donned the name The Living Skeleton and joined a local carnival. Before long, Sprague was performing in P.T. Barnum's show until Barnum's American Museum burned to the ground. Sprague tried to live a normal life, but was forced back into show business for Barnum. Despite the living skeleton's fame, Sprague died in 1887 with barely a penny to his name. Number 1. Four-Legged Lady. During the spiritualist movement, mediums were known for producing ectoplasmic human limbs from their orifices. Myrtle Corbin needed no trickery for the 2 extra limbs that sprouted from her body, though. This four-legged lady joined none other than the exploiter P.T. Barnum for the showman's freak show, earning upwards of $450 a week during the late 1800s. Myrtle didn't really have 4 legs, though, as the 2 smaller pair belonged to her parasitic twin. She could control the 2 additional appendages, but due to their size, was unable to walk on them. In fact, only one of Myrtle's legs was fully usable, as her right leg sported a clubbed foot. Were you amazed or appalled? If so, our work here is done. For more from us here at Top 10 Archive, subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or our website, top10archive.net. If you like this video, remember to comment, share, and subscribe. If you have an idea for a future Top 10 video, leave a comment in the section below.